very beautiful place today. So you're gonna have a lot of very nice backgrounds. I'm gonna walk around, show you, as I'm discussing the very important topic that I think is very, very hard for me, and I think for a lot of you to understand. And that is why people are suffering living in big cities. Why are they stuck there? Why are you stuck in your current situation and it's hard for you to escape? The energetical consequences of it. And especially I'm going to address America as the place I've spent, probably 8 to 9 months in total, multiple cities all across, all across America. I mean, not every single city there, but it's a big country. But a lot of the key places to really kind of understand and experience some of the elements and aspects that come to that. And I've traveled the world. I've been probably around 30 countries, 25, 30 countries, over 100 different spots all over the world. And what I can say is there are definitely energetical differences in places. There are definitely differences due to geography, right? Geographical differences. What happens is, there's, at the very least, a lot of people would agree on, there is such thing as places of power. When you go to a certain place in nature, a certain national park, or especially a mountain, peak of a mountain, you will quite often experience something special, something different. That's why a lot of nations, a lot of tribal people, a lot of the time would say that mountains are sacred, right? A lot of tribes, a lot of cities, a lot of groups of people have sacred mountains. Quite often, they would maybe build something on that mountain and make it into a sacred temple. Sometimes they wouldn't and leave it, just that as it is in its perfection, just how nature made it. You will find that it's not just those places of power have special energy. Everything has special energy. In addition to that, we have energy that is added by people, into that place. Whether consciously or unconsciously, people have their own energetic force field, and they have their own energy. You would find that someone has good energy, someone has bad energy. It's not just because they're smiling, or wearing a nice outfit, or they're very good looking. There are sort of differences in how their energy works, right? So someone can not necessarily be the most good looking person, but they can have very good energy. So we learn to understand that, okay, there are places of power, so there is some truth to that. Places have different energy, plus people do things. And then the way we build things also makes a difference. The way we construct things, the way we design cities, or the way cities end up being, also affects the energy of the place. And that is both good and bad. It is bad in the cases where, unfortunately, maybe by malicious design or maybe by pure coincidence, a place ends up having bad energy due to its urban design, due to the architecture, due to how it's kind of ended up being. Accidentally can happen, or sometimes it's on purpose. And I'm going to say that with sort of a very, very high percentage of my gut feeling telling me that New York City is definitely a very bad design. Okay, Manhattan, beautiful. It does have good energy in parts of it, definitely. Don't get me wrong. But having lived in New York for about 2 months in total, having spent about 2 months in New York, I can definitely say that overall it is a draining city, in my experience. Just these sharp angles, big buildings, and everything else, it makes it very hard to exist for most people. And I'm sure most people feel quite overwhelmed being there. And I think it's really not designed for a successful life for most people. The way it's designed is the sharp angles, right? The big streets, sharp angles, Manhattan, just one after the other, everything's sharp, everything's sharp. Nothing's kind of naturally erupted with bends and turns and gentle angles and kind of slopes and, kind of smooth curves and all. It's not a smooth city. It is obviously, when you look at it from Google Maps, it does look like just a bunch of lines going north, south, and east, west, and it's kind of almost, it's perfectly arranged for its own island, right? It's not perfectly north or south, east or west, like some other cities in America, where they have just been drawn on kind of like a line on the map. But the whole effect of it is not working really well. I felt quite drained in Miami, and I had that experience in Los Angeles as well. There's just low clarity. Is it purely because of architecture, or is it influenced by the energy of the people? Americans are stressed, and especially people living in big cities. Most people are struggling in some way. A bunch of people are struggling financially just to make the ends meet. Others are struggling with drug addiction. Others are lonely. Even if they have money, they're lonely, they're alone. A lot of these people, even relationships, are lonely and alone. And a lot of these people with big social circles and lots of dates, lots of hookups and whatnot, are still lonely and alone. And the rest are just sick. And so there's this mad concussion of insane people. Most of them hate their lives, and they try to make it good. I think the only people that are really having a good time are maybe like very, very, very young ones. But I think even them are suffering a lot. I mean, it's hard to say, because quite often you see young people in big groups and they're laughing and having fun, or they're drunk and it looks like they're in the peak of life. But I think there's a wedding here. But I think, deep down inside, there's just a bunch of confusion and stuff. There's a wedding. So nice. So that's New York. Miami, not the same. A little nicer. Beach is nicer, warmer. So the sun rays are stronger. People love being on the beach. People love feeling good on the beach. Let me give you like a snapshot of what's going on here. The more quiet part. And Los Angeles, really nice city. Has a lot of really nice parts. Energy is really good in its Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Culver City, Santa Monica, those places. I haven't been to Orange County, but people say it's nice as well. Kind of haven't been to those parts. But the rest of it is also not very nice. Even Venice, to be honest, I kind of like it. I also feel like something is just off there. And when I speak to LA people, there's a lot of nice people. Actually, people complain about LA people. There's actually a lot of nice people. I met a lot of nice people. I guess I attract nicer people. But there's just something off in the city's energy, in most of it. Again, when you're on the hill, when you're in Hollywood, when I stayed in like East Hollywood, for example, which is not really a nice area, but then I would hike up to Griffith Park and Griffith Observatory, that would be like my morning hike after I did yoga. Those was like beautiful times and beautiful hours, but it's kind of hard to find like a bad time when you're, it's kind of hard to find a bad time. Early mornings are usually very good everywhere, especially during like sunrise, because that energy is just so soothing, so pleasant, so filling. It's like the yummiest time to get that morning prana. I'm not talking about energy, obviously. And so I had really great times in the morning when I stayed in East Hollywood, but then the grittiness of it is like, yeah. But then Hollywood itself was really nice. People would film. It's just like a combination. But I think overall there's like a big drain, and people are kind of coping with it, and people are not surviving with that. And that's kind of like the big reason people always need to escape. People kind of like hate the place they live in quite often in America, compared to where in those big cities. Compared to say Boulder, Colorado. When I stayed in Boulder, energy is nice. Energy is sweet. Like the moment I landed in Denver already, even Denver's energy is nice. Although, you walk around downtown, it's getting a bit of that American big city insanity. American like homeless and American drug addicts are like next level. Like that's something like you rarely see in other places. Like in Bangkok, a Thai, like a local drunkard, would drink a huge bottle of whiskey and pass out on the street and just sleep on the on like a tiled concrete street pavement or whatever, and he'll be fine. But American homeless, they're on some fucking crazy. I swear, I don't know if I should swear on YouTube Live, but they're on some crazy shit, fentanyl and crack and whatnot, and they're like, whoo, they're insane. So it's not very good for them to be like that. But what's even the most is the way they communicate, the way they appear. Some of them literally appear demonic. Like I stayed in some places, like a couple hostels and whatnot, and some people I saw there, it was like demons from hell, man. It was insane. It was insane. So that's why most of the time I just stayed with friends and whatnot at their apartments. So there's that kind of dark side of America. But Boulder didn't have that. Boulder's energy is clean. Denver downtown had a couple homeless I saw that could resemble the homeless from LA and New York, but again, nothing wrong with being homeless. Like, you can just chill, right? Like, probably just sleep here, you'll be fine. That's the thing. Like, if you're homeless in these places, just your lowest is nothing like your lowest in America. That's the problem. So Denver energy was already nice. It's a simpler city, and Boulder was just amazing. Energy was clean. I had energy to go for runs. Like I wanted to work out and go for runs. The only thing that for me personally was a bit challenging is this high elevation. I'm from a coastal town. Like this is what I'm used to in Estonia. I'm from the capital. It's by the sea. Beach is like walkable or bikeable, or take public transport or get a car, whatever. Like it's it was always easy reachable from my youngest age. Wherever I would hang out with friends from I don't know whatever age, 12-year-olds. We hang out and we would go to the beach. So high elevation is quite difficult for that reason in Boulder, but otherwise it was just an amazing place. It's really good. People are good. There's a lot more spiritual people of like we kind of divide by like, and around that, let's say, some spiritual people with bigger ego, some with smaller. But I found that Boulder is a really good place to live. Obviously, it's expensive and kind of maybe overpriced for that reason, but also very safe and sweet. So having experienced that the American struggle, the reason for it, and how it affects me, how it affects my mind, me being a high performer at the times when I'm performing, and a high chiller at the times when I'm chilling, because I like to enjoy life. I like to relax. I like to do yoga and meditate and contemplate and explore and read books and go into the topics that most people don't go into. Well, there is a difference between a conducive environment for that and non-conducive. And I feel like a lot of these big cities are really just a place where you gotta like put your nose down and grind on your thing. The problem is your ability for clarity on what that thing is hindered. So you kind of have to choose just like what's available, but your choices are so limited. So you're choosing like the best evil, right? The lesser of two evil. And it's mostly going to be, making money in some way. Obviously you need to make money, but it's going to be like, whatever it takes to escape from the ghetto, or some shit. So you're just doing a bunch of shit, and you're kind of serving a bunch of, let's be honest, evil things. You're not doing any good for the world. You're not doing good for other people, for yourself. And if you care about your global impact, you're not doing good for the planet as well, quite often when you're in those kind of situations. So people are forced financially to, survive, and then they do shit that's immoral, unethical, and unserving to them personally, and to the whole society, as the whole society, and just a couple people get rich of that. And that's kind of how you end up living a lot of the time, right? Some people say that being a burglar is a job, is their job. Oh, that's just my job. Motherfucker, But that's the problem. Like, a lot of poor people and not very intelligent police officers, then they serve not so good reasons. Obviously police is necessary. Police are necessary for a lot of places because there's a lot of violent crime, but also they're serving the bigger purpose of controlling society and them being afraid of rebelling against tyranny of the government. This is what happened a couple of years ago. We all saw that all over the world, all across the world. This massive control game was being played, and I was surprised how well it played out. And I was disappointed in humanity. Now I'm looking at it, and I probably shouldn't have been, because the reality is that most people just aren't smart, unfortunately. But that's the reality of things. And so we have this kind of situation. So all this energy talk and everything else, what I'm trying to bring it to is, quite likely, a lot of you listening to this, maybe all of you, are very talented, very gifted people, maybe even like geniuses in some way. And what I want to say is that for your genius to unlock, for the full potential to be unlocked, you need to be in a conducive environment. And so what it means is you obviously need people to help you to bring out that genius, but also you need time alone to hone in and focus on your purest version of that genius, right? So that divine spark from space is coming in, right? And it has some sort of filter of your body, your memory, your mind, your energy system, and it will come out in some way. For somebody, it's going to be making music. For someone else, it's going to be making food, opening restaurants, maybe, vegan, vegetarian, healthy food restaurants. For somebody, it's going to be teaching yoga. For somebody, it's going to be sustainable architecture, sustainable urban design, permaculture, farming. For somebody, it's going to be launching healthy food, maybe, a replacement for crisps that are full of sodium and monosodium glutamate and whatever shit, and replacing it with just like healthy crisps that have like 2-3 ingredients. That's like a step up, right? And so everyone has this different version of expression. Even Uber, I think, is a very good. A lot of people talk crap about like Amazon and Uber, but overall they're making our lives better. Yes, bigger business destroys small businesses, but what you gonna do? It is faster and cheaper. So find something else to do. But understandably, people are not flexible. But so there's a lot of great things that are happening in society. There's a lot of things. Oh, doing sort of like a prayer thing here as well. The wedding. Really nice to have a wedding on the beach, isn't it? Like, wouldn't that be awesome? But where was I? So, for your genius to develop, for that divine spark to actually start a furnace, a sun, a star, for the star to be born from a spark, there needs to be very, very conducive environment, right? It doesn't happen randomly. A bunch of gas doesn't just end up being a star. Something special needs to happen for that to begin. And so you need close to perfect, but let's not be perfectionists. You need better conditions for your genius to develop. And I think for a lot of you, again, For some of you, big city might be perfect conditions, but I think for a lot of you, these are quite far from perfect conditions to develop that kind of thing. They're quite, how do we say it? They're very, they're probably suppressing your genius, suppressing your kind of potential magic that you have in you. And I'm not letting you shine in the way. So what I urge you to consider is not just going on holidays to take a break from everything, not just escaping occasionally, but moving somewhere that's very, very, very conducive for you. It is really going to make the biggest difference for you and your mind, your energy to develop and open up. In a society that's not based on stress and survival, even though the whole country might be poorer, might have lower GDP, might have less of an infrastructure, or it might be just a simpler city like Boulder, the fact that people are not stressed so much, that simplicity allows space to breathe. That insane competition quite often makes us, forces us to make bad choices, or doesn't provide conducive situations to make good choices. So we make bad choices, and then these end up hurting us. What I want for everyone is to be able to live beautifully and in an empowered way. And so the way this can happen is you need to be able to shine like a star properly. So I've been analyzing this for a bit, and I've been doing a lot of yoga and meditation daily for the last 3 years. I mean, a lot. I've been into yoga and meditation for over 12 years. Since 2012, I've started looking into alternative health and fasting, yoga, meditation, all sorts of stuff. I was exercising a lot, doing headstands. Exercise is great as well, but exercise is not all of it. And I'm a musician. I unlocked my talent through my self-development, and I style rap, I sing, I write beautiful songs. My voice is beautiful. And I found all of these talents that are available, and I think they're really available to everyone. They're really available to everyone. I'm a great coach. I'm a dating coach. I help hundreds of people with their dating problems, and it's just going to be more and more and more and more. And so my inquiry into consciousness kind of demonstrated to me that let's say like this. My continuous exploration of consciousness had brought me to a level of sensitivity in my system that I can feel the environment really well. And I was able to feel other things before really fast. I was able to feel foods, the effect of foods on your body, right? I was able to feel how garlic and onion make you more horny, how spices and stuff make you a little bit high. Like green curry, what I would eat it would make me quite high, I remember, especially when I went fruitarian for a while. Meat and that kind of food makes me more aggressive, right? Makes me more argumentative, dominant, but in the wrong way. Understand? And so, I'm not saying I've completely purified my system, but just understanding these consequences had made me see more and more and more and more. The same way we can talk about the content you consume, the videos you watch, and everything else, but it kind of combines into a big whole. Where you live, who you talk to, what kind of stuff you watch on YouTube, what kind of books you read, and what kind of food you eat, what kind of stuff you smoke. And I'm not saying you have to be vice-free. In fact, if anything, I would encourage you to have a look on your life and maybe create like a good understanding for yourself, and of what vices are you able to give up, and what vices do you want to keep? Maybe something that you really like, you want to keep. Okay, that could be beer, that could be cigarettes, that could be coffee. The coffee isn't great for you, so it is a vice, right? Maybe vice president. What's the but you want to keep, if you want, I'm saying you can keep something so you don't go completely crazy. Video games, whatever that's going to be, sex, right? It can be a vice, right? Sex is not bad inherently, but the way most people do it is definitely damaging for the system. So I would say you can have a look and start cleaning up your system, and then your sensitivity is gonna go higher. You know, water does have different flavor and have different effects on you, right? And some people don't feel the taste of water. So me being able to have higher sensitivity to everything, I'm able to look into those things and tell you how this works. And I think I want to bring that into something I've been kind of trying to understand and learn about for a while, is the nature of how we relate as people. We seem to relate to each other depending on what vibration we're on already. So simplifying that, if everyone is drunk, everyone's having a good time, everyone feels connected, so they can joke more openly with each other. They can roast and crack jokes and hug and share food and everything. They become like one organism. They become like brothers and sisters. And it's a very good way to be, because you want to have a family, right? The only problem is you need to have a drink to actually be related. In fact, there are couples and marriages that don't function without alcohol, because the husband wouldn't like the wife. Sometimes you wouldn't want to sleep with the wife if he wasn't drunk. And so we have these kind of situations in the world, and we have these kind of situations. But you look at friendships, right? That's kind of the one foundation is alcohol. Drugs as well, the same thing, just exaggerated. Everyone's on the same vibration, that they feel connected, ego is relaxed, and they feel connected to each other, which you are connected to each other. But in that artificial way, unfortunately, gives an illusion. And so you do get that experience of connection. You do develop faster friendships when you're on drugs or alcohol. Something that will take a sober friendship quite a while to develop. A drunk, alcohol, or drug fueled friendship will develop faster. But that also is not limited there. Food you eat. Everyone from the same town eats same food, steak or hot dogs or this or that, and you relate to each other better. Quite often, again, girls would like a guy that eats the same food as them, or a little bit maybe healthier if they're kind of healthy conscious, but unable to deal with their, let's say, hunger or addiction to food. So we relate to each other on the level of vibration we're at, kind of, and quite often it is, the food is included. The food is a big portion of that. That's why you want to kind of, if you're with your family, you try to eat like your family, then you feel more connected to them. You start eating differently. When a kid starts eating differently to their family is going to rebel. Quite often they will not like that, because you're kind of disconnecting from them. Oh, well, you think you're better than us? You're not going to eat our food, right? It's like that. So it's because, like, are you gonna exist on that same vibration? Are you gonna vibrate with us? So then we can connect and relate to each other. So when I was younger and when I was going out a lot, I had a really big desire to connect with people. I really wanted to connect with big amounts of people, and I didn't know how to do it. And there was a period of life where I would drink a lot, right? Have a lot of alcohol. It would help to connect with people, smoke some cigarettes, go out to the smoking area in a nightclub, smoke. You're kind of looking cool, you're connecting with people, everything's good, everything's great. The same way with other substances. Weed is one thing people connect on quite well. And then I stopped. And I'll give you like a little breakdown of this. I stopped and I started going out a lot and socializing without drinking and smoking. And what I had to kind of do and learn is to like really dumb myself down, and level of conversations, the level of emotions, So I sound more like a monkey who speaks the language rather than a human. And that helped me to connect with a large amount of people that go out a lot. Now, I'm not saying that's the whole world, but it's a demographic. So instead of drinking, I learned how to get drunk artificially in a way. And so that kind of helped me to relate to people. I would kind of use the same buzzwords, places for holidays, musicians that they like. That kind of helped me to relate to a lot bigger amount of people. But it wasn't authentic in a way, because deep inside there's always this desire for sort of a higher vibration. So there was a point where I started drinking and smoking again, and I kind of went in periods like that over the last couple of years. I mean, I've been more sober last 3-4 years, but there've been periods of let's say insane sobriety, and then insane intoxication, by all means, including the main reason I would say that people get drunk and high is to actually have sex, and that is a drug of its own, and it's only enhanced by everything else. And so that kind of helps. That kind of lifestyle helps to connect to a big amount of people, because everybody's forcefully vibrating on that level. I think the reason a lot of people are struggling with connecting with a lot of people is because they're supposed to be more alone, and they're supposed to be more alone, spend more time alone, and meditate and kind of finalize and crystallize their vision. And so that anxiety is almost like a way to preserve them. But the way our minds are developed in this society is, unfortunately, we're all kind of conditioned to believe that it's very important to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. But if we talk about my clients, guys who I help with dating, a lot of guys think it's very important for them to have a girlfriend. A lot of guys feel that it's very important for them to have, a lot, high amounts of sex to be a man, to be masculine, right? It's either being a gangster or sleeping with lots of women that makes them a man. And so what I find is a lot of people come to this earth as souls, maybe to bring in some sort of a fine, I say fine as in a refined thing, not my shoes, but a fine, refined thing into this world, but they end up being programmed with the current social conditioning and thinking that they need to get laid a lot, that they need a girlfriend, that they need to get this and that, and they're struggling to meet one because they can't relate to most people. Even though they might be on a simple diet, same diet as everyone else, and doing other things, they're still struggling to relate. It's not just anxiety. I feel there's like a spiritual reason. The energy is diverted inwards. And that introversion is kind of a good thing, because for spiritual progress, introversion is very important. I spend most of my time alone, obviously, I guess, but there are some people who can't spend time alone. So I think for you to understand deeper levels of this world, it is important to kind of be more and more introverted. So these guys, a lot of them are naturally introverted, very talented software engineers, maybe artists and whatever else, struggling to connect with people, but really want to. A lot of them end up doing drugs or alcohol or whatever else to connect to people. And others, seek coaching and help. And what I found is one of the reasons is because energy is naturally diverted inwards and up. And what you have to learn how to do is how to divert energy down and forward. Move energy from higher centers of perception that are helping with things like clairvoyance and maybe, oh. Hola, buenos días. Sí, sí. Saludos.
¿A dónde?
¿Ah?
Where are you from?
Europa.
Pero, where?
Estonia.
Estonia?
Sí. YouTube, sí, sí. Ah, gracias. Ah, saludos. Everyone's very welcoming here. I feel like actually like it's almost like because I'm trying to say something quite complicated, and I'm probably in the wrong place for that, because I need more of a pure focus. While here is like, let's party, more of a vibe. Although it's not like the biggest party town, it's definitely the vibes are definitely such that. But again, it is my first evening in Mexico as well, so I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know. But I'll learn. Also, I'll probably finish the thought and just go and chill. Is that they haven't learned that, and it's quite an advanced concept. So I'm just going to kind of finish on that quickly, then probably do more research on this so I can go even deeper on that. They haven't learned how to redirect their energy outward, and it's a big thing for them, and it's a complicated thing. It is definitely the main reason they came on the planet. These souls that are struggling with creating things in the world. Now they can go the natural route and go and just do a lot of meditation and hide in a cave. I don't think that's really gonna create a lot of spiritual growth. In fact, what I read in one book, which is a very good book, but it definitely resonated, is that for introverts, the biggest spiritual path is actually going out into the world and doing stuff when they're scared to, because some of their stuff is deep thought on. So it's definitely transforming for the world, but it takes a lot of presence to keep giving up the doubts and the fears and actually risk getting hate and risk getting, you know, let's say rejected on the first level, exiled on a high risk, punched in the face, all right, risk getting punched in the face, and whatever else happens, risk all of that, and still create what you really think should be created in the world. So for introverts, it's to learn how to do that, because the natural flow of energy is inwards and up. They have to learn how to project the energy forward and down. So down and forward, right? Inwards and up, down and forward. So down into the feet. So you're on the ground, you're on the earth. The earth has rules. The earth has rules, okay? If you put feet into a water, they're gonna get wet, right? So what do we mean by that? There are certain laws. How the world operates, whether you like it or not. Animals operate in a certain way. Our body is flesh first, primarily. Well, I think so at least. And it works in a certain way. So this, acceptance of certain things, which is not very nice, not very pleasant. Acceptance of shadow aspect of our reality. For me, a lot of them are always like a big insight. As I get deeper into my meditation and yoga practice, as my mind becomes more balanced, I'm able to uncover more of the shadow that's there. Now, whether this is my shadow or collective shadow, I won't be able to say so well. But I tend to think of it as collective because I don't want to identify with that. But I can accept it as mine as well. Well, the more I accept it as mine, the more integrated I become as a person. The more balanced and accepting of the world I become. Even if I get triggered in a moment, I can still deal with the reality of things instead of allowing it to break me. Because some of the things in the world are very unpleasant. And so it's learning and accepting that, on the mental level, and learning how to be in the physical world very effectively, very grounded way, to actually create what we need to create. And so for introverts, this is one of the big things. And I will be explaining more on that in detail later on. But for now, I think I'm just gonna show you some more of the city and wherever we have left. And that's gonna be the end of the stream. I may edit some of this into like a video or not. I guess doesn't matter. As long as it's here, I think I'll be happy. So just show you some beautiful parts. I'll be able to call it a day.
My spirit knew, I felt spirit quickly. When I knew something deeply then, that I don't know that I could put into words in that moment, but my spirit knew something, and I was shocked, literally, physically and spiritually shocked, stunned. And since then, I felt those moments over and over and over again. I felt it in the beginning of our relationship when the second time we saw one another and we immediately decided to talk about speaking English.